All right, good evening. Welcome to the November 10th, 2015 meeting of the Manchester Town Council. We'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. For opening here, I'd like to welcome Boy Scout Troop 320 from here in Manchester. We have the whole troop, but a significant number of them here, so welcome. I understand you guys are here to observe and take notes and report back. So I know you guys can't stay the whole time. If you have any questions when you leave, we're all fairly accessible through email or stopping in, send letters. Email's probably the easiest. Feel free to send an email or call in. All right, so welcome. First order of business, actual business, approval of the October 13th, 2015 minutes. So you have a copy. Any additions or corrections to the minutes? Hearing none, we have a motion to approve.
I'll make a motion to approve the October 13th minutes, 2015 minutes.
I'll second the motion.
Motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, we'll start with the September 2015 Treasurer's Report. So again, we did receive the check register in October.
I make a motion that we receive the September 2015 Treasurer's Report.
I'll second it.
Motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay. And then the check register for October 2015. Motion to receive that.
I make a motion we receive the October 2015 check register.
I'll second the motion.
I have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay. Mayor's report. A couple of items here. First, we recently, I guess, 10, 11 days ago, had Halloween. I'd like to commend everybody here in town. I think from everything I was heard, it's another successful Halloween, which means decent weather, hopefully, and everybody gets home safe and sound. So I commend Chief Hess and the police department. I know everybody, it's all hands on deck on Halloween. They have everybody in the neighborhoods making sure that peace is maintained and kids are able to get out and then get back home. So nice job. Black Friday is coming up this November 27th through MAMA. That's going to come up later on, but certainly there'll be information here at the town. That's an event that seems to be growing in recent years, thanks to the MAMA group, who've really been pushing that. So please make it out. Hopefully we have nice weather for that. Leaf pickup will continue, through December 6th, and that's on Monday, so you can get your leaves down to the road, unbagged, just get them down there and we'll combine and pick them up. And we'll continue to have yard waste pickup on Fridays through the end of November, so a couple of more Fridays. More items here. Tomorrow, I believe it's tomorrow, and one of you guys can correct me if I'm wrong, there's a school board meeting. I know we talked about this a little bit last month. I think it's at Winters Mill at 4 p.m. So big community event. I know everybody's probably aware of all the potential school closings that are out there. If you're interested, clearly closing North Carroll High School would be something that's not beneficial to the entire North Carroll area, both in terms of those that are in school, and then here in Manchester from just a public works impact. It would be something that would be a hardship on us. So please make your voices known on that. I'm sure you can do that online. Many of us have, but if you can make it to that meeting tomorrow at 4 p.m. And have your voices heard there, that would be great. And then finally, which could be the last, hopefully not, the last football game ever for North Carroll High School. They'll be playing at Manchester Valley in a rematch in the first round of the playoffs this Friday. So I guess they had the first round or last regular season game was down at North Carroll last. So that could potentially be, hopefully not, the last football game at North Carroll High School. Rematch up here this weekend. So be a great community event. Everybody can make it out for that. And I think it'd be nice to have really both groups there. So show some support for the school and for the school system and the kids in the area while, at least maybe from us here rooting for Manchester Valley to win the football game. So that's all I have. I'll turn it over to Town Administrator.
Okay, good evening, Mayor and Council and members of the community. Before I start on my my list of items, I want to bring up to Troop 320. You folks may have remembered back in the summer, you possibly helped one of your fellow scouts, Reed Latterer, do a storm drain stenciling project in Manchester Farms. You actually did 80 stormwater inlets where you stenciled. Your work was featured at a training on Friday with some officials through Carroll County, and I just wanted to pass that on to you. I did mention it to one of the scoutmasters back there to pass that on to Reed. So that was a good job, and if you folks need Eagle Scout projects, come see me, and we will make sure we can come up with some projects for you. Really appreciate it. We'll go ahead and start with the October administrative report. Under our SHA projects, there's been no change. The Sheets project, there's been no status change in the new building. We did receive a letter from MDE in regards to the MTBE remediation process and the abandonment of observation wells on town property. I'm currently in the process of responding back to MDE, requesting that those 4 wells stay in place and be placed in the Carroll County Observation Well Monitoring Program. Our new town hall and police station work began as of November 2nd. There's been some grading and some site work done on site up there. Under code enforcement, rental housing, and new construction, you have in front of you the monthly status report for code enforcement. And Manchester Farms Section 7, the infrastructure is about 80% complete out there. Under miscellaneous items, the MDOT tour took place on October the 15th. Councilperson Howe supplied me with information from that meeting. I had the pleasure of attending the graduation of Officer Zeb Warback from the crisis intervention training that he took. He graduated on October the 23rd. Currently, that gives us 2 police officers that are trained in CIT. The other is Officer Ron Garner. I want to remind you about the joint mayors and commissioners meeting that's going to be held on Tuesday, November the 17th at 7 p.m. That's going to be in the Reagan Room at the county office building. Unfortunately, I cannot make it. That's our planning and zoning night, and I have to be here for this meeting. I want to say thank you. On the heels of Mayor Warner, I want to thank Pete and Guy Gary and the Mama Group for another successful year in reference to the Halloween parade and the activities that took place on October the 30th. That was a nice night out. It's growing every year. The town come on board, the fire department come on board, so hopefully next year we'll make it even bigger. So thank you, fellas. Also, I want to welcome a new nonprofit group that's moved in across the street. That is Tree of Friends, and I want to welcome them to our community. They're occupying the space at 3211 Main Street, and that's the building next to the fire department. So they're in there doing some painting, and hopefully they'll open up right before the holidays. So I want to bring that to the mayor and council's attention. Also, you have in front of you an invitation to the MML dinner, which is going to be held Thursday, December 10th at John Street Quarters in Westminster. If you can attend, please get back with myself or Kelly so we can reserve your spots. Moving right along, we'll go into the Public Works report for October. You have in front of you the monthly water and wastewater status report for October. Hydrant flushing took place on October the 29th. Under wastewater, we did have force main break on Footbridge Drive on October the 5th, which it was repaired that same day. And we're in the process of having new heaters installed at numerous water and sewer pumping stations, and that's through our Maryland Energy Administration grant that we received. Under stormwater, the skate park stormwater management facility, that status, it's on schedule. Site borings will be taking place over the next several weeks. In fact, I think some of the equipment arrived on site today, so they're going to be doing some site borings out there. Whispering Valley Stormwater Management Facility, the status of that, we've been in contact with SHA. They're on board with the project. The county will be applying for TAP funding in 2016. And Route 30 will be used as the embankment. This facility is being designed as a dry facility, and that's at Route 30 and Michelle Road. That's a retrofit project. Also, something I want to bring to the mayor and the council's attention once we get into the budget season right after the first of the year. We talked a little bit about it at the WRCC meeting. As you know, we have one person in charge of stormwater management within the county, and that's Glenn Edwards. Glenn's been on board now for probably 5 years. He's doing a great job. The stormwater management issues are growing throughout the state, and the county's going to request an additional person. Currently, each municipality funds part of Glenn's salary through our town-county agreement. So they may be looking at adding an additional person, and we may be asked to contribute some monies toward the salary of that person, similar to what we do with Glenn Edwards. That being said, that is money well spent. The county saves us hundreds of thousands of dollars in looking over our shoulders, making sure we have all the training, making sure everything's in place as far as stormwater management is concerned, so that I wanted to bring that to your attention to remember that come budget time. Under maintenance, roads, and parks, the street resurfacing project on Westminster Street and Maiden Lane will begin over the next several weeks. Our salt contract is in place with State Highway, and that's been executed. And the Community Build Day and the opening of an inclusive playground took place on Saturday. And that was a very nice day. We had representatives there from the town, we had reps there from the police department, fire department, just neighbors that stopped in, and we probably ended up with at least 30 people up there assisting with the build. Dave Brown, our park supervisor, spearheaded that project, and he wanted me to pass on to the mayor and the council a thank you for all your assistance that you've done. And I think that was a nice project. I was very impressed with that. So, any questions for me?
I have a couple. I'd like to, again, from me, and I think from this group, pass on thank you to Dave Brown for his work up there. That was a real nice project, really came together well, and I was impressed, just walking up to it, with the number of town employees that were up there on their own time, helping out to make the town a better place and give us a more inclusive playground opportunity for some of the youngsters out there. So I think it really speaks well to our community and to our employees that they took time out of their day and their weekend to go up and take part in that. So that was a real nice event. A couple of things. With the position with Glenn Edwards, or the additional position, my memory is that we contribute to that based, it wasn't like, so there's 8 municipalities, we weren't splitting it 1/8, it was based on a metric, right? Just like the town-county agreement
I
is.
believe it was based on population. I
Right.
believe that's how it was based, yes.
Okay.
And the new position would be coming in as an entry position, so there wouldn't be as much as far as Glenn's salary. So it would
Yeah.
be less than what we're paying for
Okay.
part of his salary.
And I think, to piggyback on what you said about how some of the cooperation saves us money in the long run,
Yes.
the project that's going to take place down at Westside Park is an
Yes.
example of that. So not just in looking over and us able to use them as a resource, but along with the WRCC, having that at our disposal to work with them and piggyback to meet some of these requirements that are coming in the next couple of years.
Correct.
That would-
And to execute the agreement where we have an 80-20 split with the funding with the county is excellent.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's tremendous.
Yeah, and having
We-
all those people at the same table makes that possible.
Yeah, we're actually one of the only counties in the state that actually partner together to get these jobs completed. It's great. It works out real well.
I have one other question. With respect to those monitoring wells, what's the benefit, or can you talk a little bit about the benefit of keeping those online and having them placed in the county observational well monitoring program?
Yeah, the thing is with the 4 monitoring wells, if MDE, they're awaiting the letter from us. Once they receive the letter from us, the remediation is completed, the case is closed. It still gives us a chance to use those wells as sentinel wells. And these are at locations right before our actual public drinking water municipal wells. So if we keep those observation wells, we not only are able to monitor the well levels in them, but we're also able to gain access and test those wells. So if anything would pass through and be getting, headed toward our production wells, we would know it. Now, probably we might set those wells up to be tested twice a year. You know, maybe every quarter for the first year and a half, 3 years, and then switch them back to every 6 months, something like that, so.
So Sheets would be free and clear as far as their remediation plan?
That case would be closed, that
But
is
the
correct.
wells are there, they
Yes.
exist, they're drilled?
That's correct. That's correct. Now, some of the other wells that they asked to be abandoned, I'm gonna request, which is out of our control, they're not on our property, not on town property, but I'm gonna request that, the company that's doing the work for Sheets GPS those sites so we can go back in at a later date, because some of those wells that are on private property, they were pretty decent production wells. So possibly 10 years from now, maybe less, if we want to, talk to the property owners, we know exactly where that well was located, and we could go right back to that site and re-drill it if we want to.
Right, we'll save that, money. The exploration work can be expensive. so-
Correct,
Right.
yes. So,
Okay.
I think, Steve, unfortunately, I haven't heard too much problems with York Street with the amount of traffic that comes down there that shouldn't be. Anything we can do to prepare for winter, any kind of inspections, any preemptive strikes to look for places that might be susceptible to damage? Because we know come winter, come cold weather, snow, frozen water, there's going to be damage.
there is, there's no doubt about it. York Street, I see it every day. York Street is really, really showing wear and tear. York Street is opening up in areas, that I would have never thought it would have opened up. When I say opened up, it's starting to show some hairline cracks and things like that. Within the next several years, it depends on how hard the winter's gonna be, we're gonna have to take a hard look at York Street and going back in. And it has not been that long since York Street was resurfaced. And I say that long, I think it's only been probably 8 years. But due to the heavy traffic and the volume of traffic, it's taking a beating. And,
Well, it certainly wasn't designed for tractor trailers, and the traffic is
it was
getting, and
not.
it's unfortunate.
That is correct. That
It's
is
just something for us to
correct.
keep an eye on.
Yes. Another area that I saw, Councilman Wilder, while you bring it up, another area that I saw was Long Lane. Long Lane is really starting to show wear and tear because we have a lot of heavy delivery trucks. We have a lot of, for some reason, buses that travel, the back streets. Rush hour bypass, Chief Hess is exactly right. And so that's starting to show, heavy wear and tear.
Thank you.
Anything else for the town administrator? All right, move to the police report, chief.
Yes, sir. Good evening, everybody. Manchester Police Department responded to 75 calls for service this month. It's been the highest amount of service calls probably within the year. We had a busy month, having one attempted aggravated assault with a handgun, which resulted in an arrest. 4 theft incidents, 1 was cleared by an arrest. 1 search and seizure warrant for a drug nuisance complaint and distribution. And the calls for service resulted thus far with 8 persons being criminally charged. We do have some open cases. We have suspects identified, but unfortunately, our probable cause needs will be tightened up a little bit before we make an arrest. For this month, it was 4 Part 1 crimes, so we kind of broke our record there with 0 Part 1 crimes. For the year, compared to last year, we had 31 reported Part 1 crimes and 14 Part 1 crimes this year. For Troop 320, what a Part 1 crime is, every police department across the nation, they have to report to the FBI, to Uniform Crime Reporting. And Part 1 crimes are rape, robbery, murder, aggravated assault, theft, burglary, and arson, and motor theft, motor vehicle theft. And that's mandatory. Each month, the FBI will come back and they criticize and critique your statistics to make sure you're on board, and every county, every state is reporting the correct information. Traffic enforcement this month was slow. We did have an officer in training, and we had some other priorities due to the busy month. We did issue 10 state citations, 24 warnings. Year to date, we have 907 citations and warnings issued. 311 of them are state. And Troop 320, just so you also know, the town of Manchester, we get $0 for those state citations. The town doesn't get any money for giving tickets. All our tickets are issued for driving recklessly, speeding complaints, not wearing your seatbelt, not paying attention, texting while you're driving, everything you're going to hear not to do when you get your driver's license. So we did have the one first-degree assault arrest, that was with handgun charges also applied. We had another arrest for second-degree assault. We had 4 arrests for drug possession, one arrest for theft, and 1 arrest for disorderly conduct. The county, thus far, year-to-date, has had 179 overdose cases. 60 of them were heroin-related, 22 resulted in death. For the municipalities, Hampstead has 4, Sykesville has 1, Tawnytown has 10, Westminster has 32, and so far, God willing, Manchester has 0. The rest of the cases happen outside of the municipalities. For the month of October, there were 21. 8 were resulted because of heroin. There was 1 fatality. Tawnytown had 1, Westminster had 7. And that's about all I have.
Anything else for the chief?
True, you got any questions? No?
You guys have any? So there's a lot of statistics in there. Overall, Manchester still, I think leading the pack in terms of crime prevention and control. The Part 1 crimes are going to creep up from time to time. We respond to them. I know that the chief handled the one that we had very well. And so we are moving to holiday season now. If you're able to hit on this, you went through the statistics. So please keep your cars locked, your house is secure. It's something that surrounding areas are starting to experience more of we've had a couple of them here, but more of the shed, the car break-ins, daytime homes. We haven't had a huge rash here in Manchester, but they'll find us eventually, so the best way to stop it is to prevent it. So keep an eye on that. So, anything else? Okay, good job. Lori, did anybody sign in today? Yes. Moving right along. You guys came for a light meeting today. Thank you. Mike Stewart?
Yes, good evening, Council, Mr. Mayor. Mike Stewart, 2817 Ridgely Court. As you mentioned, tomorrow they do have Superintendent Guthrie is going to put his recommendation to the voting members of the board in front of the public at Winters Mill. At 3 o'clock, they'll open you can park at 3 o'clock and come on. They'll open doors at 3:30 and take comment cards and the rest. But what I'd like to ask you all is a growing chorus among the legislative delegation, commissioners, and mayors of other towns that the voting members of the board should disregard Guthrie's recommendation and send it back for a process that has established criteria, all the stakeholders, teachers, members of the legislative delegation, commissioners and such, and a published timetable and not in a rush. As you know that he's probably going to recommend option 5, which is basically option 3 broken in half, the closure of Charles Carroll, Northwest, New Windsor Middle, and North Carroll High School. But it leaves it to the next year to do cleanup of feeder systems, transportation, and comprehensive redistricting, and it gives no money for teacher step increases or salary. So I don't know what it does. So what I'm asking you to do, there's going to be a month of public comment and 4 meetings. If you guys want, as a council and Mr. Mayor, to contact the voting members of the board who make the real decision and have the votes and go on record and say, we'd like, the process to start over because it's not a good solution. They can manage financially for 1 year. Do it once, do it right. And the stake in the game is if you're in North Carroll right now and you're in the town, you're going to be over here in Man Valley. Okay, and the other kids are going to FSK and Winters Mill. But that means kids who go to Man Valley now will go to Winters Mill, some of them. We don't know the numbers yet, west of 30, and Westminster. Also, don't think that the name's going to remain Man Valley. It's not. It's either going to be North Carroll or they're going to start from scratch, change the colors. You go from 1A to 4A, which means you're at capacity. And Nevin over there will tell you, we've got building starts over in there, and if you do have a bump, which is unappreciated, there's no, building on or portables or other things in Man Valley. You're going to be at capacity very quickly, and if you do have a bump that's unaccounted for, you're going to be over capacity with the traffic and everything else it entails. So, I mean, that's the stake that Manchester has, and I think that the process, anyone looking at the process now can tell it's been a rush. It doesn't do what it says it's going to do, and it should be rebooted. And I asked the council and Mr. Mayor over that period to get in contact with the voting members of the board and suggest to them to restart the process.
Okay,
I thank you for your consideration.
thank you. I don't know what you guys think, like, just bring up that subject again. Procedurally, I don't know if we should take a stance as a board. I've generally been of the opinion, although I have a very strong feeling on this issue and some others, that we kind of handle core business of the town as far as a board, and this is open for discussion. And then, like, individually, all go and do that. And I don't know if that's stronger or weaker in terms of what the voice is, but I certainly agree with everything you say, but
You might be getting a call from Nevin and some of the other mayors too.
I talked to him.
I know.
Yeah. So I agree, and I would individually encourage everybody here. I don't think that the process as it's gone down, I know this is on the record, what I'm saying now, is beneficial for the town of Manchester or the students that will be attending the public schools in Manchester. So I would encourage everybody to have your voice be heard and contact the members of the school board after the recommendation comes out, which supposedly will come out tomorrow.
Because I think as individuals, we can address the social aspect. As a board, we can address the impact to the town of Manchester.
Right.
Because we have a responsibility to the town. So there's the social aspect and then there's the town aspect.
So internally, we have had discussions, and we don't have, I guess so the public knows, we don't have a lot of extra special insight as what goes on. We don't have a vote. We don't have really access to anything that any of us would have individually outside of the government board. But I know that the chief and I and Steve Miller and I, and along with members of the council, we have had discussions about, if we get 600, whatever the number is going to be, right? I don't know if you know exactly numbers, but let's say it's 600, 650 students. What does that mean in terms of water, traffic, police response? If you've been to an event up there at Manchester Valley right now, it gets pretty difficult to get in and out with the one entrance. So there's a lot of considerations in terms of operationally as a town, what that means, and especially for that to double all of a sudden. And Mr. Stewart's right in the sense that when we were planning, we didn't plan it. When the planning happened of that school, the footprint of the school couldn't be any bigger, so there's not really any opportunity to put a portable there, right? It's the smallest site acreage-wise for a high school in the county, has the lowest number of athletic and practice fields, which are already probably overused with the students that are there. I know it's built for a capacity of more students to be there than are currently using it. But yeah, you can't expand the footprint of the school any more than it already is. So if you go over that 97, 98, 101%, it's just going to be sitting on laps.
But all the more reason to restart the process, so at least you should have been consulted in some way, because it's going to be in your backyard.
Yeah, I don't think that, well, actually, I don't want to say that. Did you guys hear anything in terms of consultant?
No.
Yeah, I don't want to speak to say administratively if they called in, but yeah, I was not aware of us ever being asked our opinion. So I think that as a town, we have an opinion. As individuals, we probably have pretty similar opinions, but process-wise, I think I agree with you. It's who's writing stuff down in here? Process-wise, I don't know. It just kind of stinks of, not everything being above
It
board.
hasn't been a good process.
Right. So it certainly seems to be rushed in terms of rushing to make a bad decision, or rushing to make.
After this process, they could come to the same decision, but at least they would, if they did the process right, it would have probably gone a little bit smoother.
Right. I agree with that. Anybody else on that subject? All right, moving on. David Doxson?
Yes. I have some prepared comments to make. Let's see this. I have one for each of you.
Thank you. It's electronic. I missed something to lean on. Need a pen. Yeah, for that. I'm here regarding a town, what we believe is a discriminatory no-service policy for Castlefield condominium community. I come before you to ask for a policy change, a change for equitable treatment, a change for fairness, a change for balanced responsibility, a change for an equal partnership with the Manchester community at large. First, let me say I'm only speaking for Castlefield condominium community. I'm not representing any other groups, okay, that's here. And I'll begin by stating the issue as I know it. I believe the town of Manchester entered into an agreement with the developer of Castlefield, and the arrangement was that the town would approve the development in exchange for an agreement to withhold town services for future residents. Accordingly, to date, Castlefield residents pay full town taxes but do not receive many of the services other town residents enjoy, like trash removal, snow removal, fire hydrants, road maintenance, etc. The Castlefield owners feel that the denial of services yield a double taxation effect upon us. We pay town taxes based on the same valuation system and tax rates as owners of single-family homes, but have received no town services and have to pay again to get them privately. This practice does not resonate with the fundamental American value of fair and equal treatment of people by government. Property taxes, while not a formal contract, represent a contribution by the landowner toward a bundle of services provided by local government. This situation further causes our tax equity concerns. When the government reduces services to minority condominium owners, but maintains their property tax levels, it creates a wealth transfer from these owners to the rest of the community. We, as the condominium owners, are paying taxes to support services to other residential owners without receiving services ourselves. Requiring all property owners to pay the same property tax but denying services to our senior community without plausible justification is just bad policy. During the course of my research for this moment, I came across an interesting legal doctrine called the nexus requirement. There are two definitions that I footnoted here, for you to understand. Okay, while it's just one of many, I think it's most pertinent here. Supreme Court in Nolan and Dolan held that the government may impose a land exaction only if it is designed to address an externality created by the development that negatively affects the community. Otherwise, it creates a harm outside of the community, but that's being developed. Government may not use zoning, subdivision, or the approval process to extract concessions from the developer that are unrelated to addressing harms caused by the project. Rather, Nolan requires a nexus, which is a connection, between a regulation and the harm caused by the development. Dolan notes that there must be a rough proportionality between the harm and the exaction level. I think it would be difficult for the town to show the necessary nexus between harm caused by the development of Castlefield and the exaction of a no-service agreement. It's hard to understand how additional taxpaying customers would cause a revenue loss to the town for trash service, for example, when it is already apportioned in tax rates. Further, I think it's illogical to totally deny services or refuse trash removal, since our property tax payments include some component for regular trash collection. In summary, I would suggest that your best course of action in this matter, as our community leaders, the leaders of Castlefield, is to see the wisdom of a strong public policy of fairness and equal treatment, and not try to balance the municipal books on the backs of minority homeowners in Castlefield. Please negate the policy agreement for no service policy agreement for Castlefield. I'll be glad to answer any questions you might have.
Thank you for coming and reading this. I was
Yeah.
reading a couple of points again.
Yeah.
Steve, I hate to put you on the spot. Can you
We don't mind.
So I have some historical knowledge of this, and I live over near you.
Yeah, there was
you get a
one of our
copy?
residents wrote
Yeah.
a letter
Did
to
you get a
me,
copy of
and
this?
I- Oh, yeah, not with me, but
Yeah.
yes,
Okay.
everyone has a copy of that,
I don't know, I don't know.
you know, but,
So,
you know,
yeah,
there's a dimension of this that came up, and
Okay.
I understand, I think your staff does a great job of trying to, you know, look out for the town and everything, okay, it's not, but I just think, and we all think that a mistake was made here. You know, I've heard the expression that it was viewed, because of it's a site plan instead of individual fee simple lots, it was viewed, let's say, as a commercial development. There's no commercial tax rate there. There's no commercial, and I mean, we're a duck. We talk, you know, quack like a duck. You can't call us a chicken. I mean, because it's all residents for that. Not only is it residents, it's senior residents. Residents who have paid their dues, residents who probably volunteer more time in the community than, you know, than not. I mean, when you walk in the hospital, who do you see at the desk, you know, but people our age, you know, for it. So we just think it's a no service is a disservice, okay? Particularly in relation to, we pay the same taxes, you know?
Right.
Right there. You know. And I don't necessarily think trying to prorate taxes is an answer, because what you really end up doing is kind of devalue the property. There are other elements here. It gets kind of complex once you look into the legal aspects of, you know, and in the fine lines and all.
Right.
But I think the best way to fix it is kind of like provide us the services we pay for, you know.
so, and I think and I want to be careful when I say, make sure it's accurate. I'm not using the wrong words here, but there can be a lot of differences between different kinds of development, right? So like, and then I don't know if it's
Oh, yeah.
if it's getting it to make everything being a one size fits all, and this I think was well thought out, is well written, came from the heart, and I think it can open and start. We're not going to be able to solve anything tonight, right? With
Of course not, don't expect it to, you know.
but I think we can certainly it can open up a discussion about what's equitable and what's the right way to proceed in terms of from the town, the other residents, and then the residents of Castlefield.
Yeah.
So if we were to consider, like, say, other cases that are different but similar, at least in some respects. So if we had a condominium, or an age-restricted facility that didn't have roads and driveways and yards, but was a single building, that may have. I think that my understanding of it and the way you're saying it and the way that we've maybe communicated before was, this is viewed, although you have yards and driveways, it's viewed as one property that's broken out into these condominiums.
Legally, there's really no difference whether it's a high-rise or villa style,
Right.
you know, of that, you know.
So similarly, where Mr. Stewart and I live, we have use in common driveways, along with Hallie Hill and everything else. So
Right.
are we opening up something there to say, well, when this came through and to the existing residents that were here before I was here and before you were here and everybody else, and they said, all right, well, this is the way that we're going to develop this property, and this allows us to get the lot yield that we want out of this piece of property. But
Right.
these are now use in common driveways that are going to be responsible, by me. So it's not plowed by the town, it's not going to be repaved by the town. Hallie Hill, for instance, they're responsible for mowing, the areas around their stormwater management facilities.
Right.
Where Whispering Valley is not, because they were developed under different rules and different times. So, well, I certainly think it's prudent to have a discussion and see what's equitable and see what we can do. And I don't even know, I'm sure these have come up someplace else that I don't have the,
Trust me, it's
Yeah.
nationwide. There's
Yeah.
issues. I mean, it's come across, many places and all.
Yeah.
But I would suggest that in my research, the communities that litigate these issues have prevailed.
and they could.
Okay,
You might have.
I'm just
sure-
saying that. Okay, that's just, for
Yeah.
mine. I'm not saying always, but, we have. And, it's like you mentioned for the common driveways, and like, say, in Castlefield, say the radius of a street might be less than what you'd want to see, someplace else.
Right.
Under Nexus, I mean, that's still internal. There's no harm to the community for that. it's got to be external to the harm. And then what proportion of harm was that for you to withhold a proportion of services? You know, so.
No,
Anyway, I just wanted this to be a genesis of a process, okay, for, you know, for discussion and movement, and also, and that's why I'm here, hopefully to create a beginning,
Okay,
so we can get that. All right?
okay. Appreciate
Mr.
it.
Knox, pardon me, there's something else that, I'm sorry, something
mind-
else I'm a little concerned with.
Do you
It
mind going
sounds
to
like-
the mic?
Sure, no problem.
I'm concerned that the condominium developer or the owner, whoever it was, didn't disclose this information to the residents. Wasn't there anything in writing?
Well,
Did the
I
residents
don't-
go in not knowing this?
I don't recall, you know, a specific, I don't think there was a specific disclosure, you know, but that's another element that just may not have really affect you all here. Okay, I mean, as far as their tax rate, but yeah, I mean, that's an internal thing,
It should have been disclosed with the deed process.
yeah.
Yeah, I'm-
You should have received,
that-
you know, the bylaws.
There may have,
Yeah,
you know.
that disclosed all that information.
You know, to like that, you know. But then again, you know, your technical here is, like I say, I hope this is a beginning of a process here.
Actually, I looked at the
Yeah.
information, the bylaws and the deed process, and it's
Yeah.
like 60 pages.
All right,
So, I mean, there's a lot of information buried in there
yeah.
that, you know, falls back on the responsibility of the condominium association.
Yeah.
Similar situation in Manchester Manor. Same situation at Complex. We could use Westchester Square for the same situation also. you know.
My memory of that, going back, it's been a number of years since that was, I know the building is relatively new, but since the development took place, so don't hold me to this part, but was that that happened during a time when the school capacities, was before Manchester Valley, before Ebb
That
Valley.
is correct.
And school capacity was an issue. And that piece of property would have yielded a certain lot yield under a conventional development system as a subdivision.
Correct.
But then, because it was developed as a condominium, private piece of property, the lot yield then increased,
That is correct.
right? If they'd been
Due
built like
to-
homes, like, say,
Right, due to
something
the
else, yeah.
adequate facilities at that time, of course, as you said, marijuana, because of the school. That's correct.
Right. I think that it was developed that way to increase the lot yield above where it would have been had it been homes and been tied into everything else. Now, again, I'm
Are you talking
looking,
about Castlefield?
I
Or
believe
this
so.
other, well, really, that, a senior development, really, well, you know, how heavily do we impact your services? You know, how do we impact, you know, significant, like, you know, like schools and things, I mean. you know,
well, I think that's why it was senior, I think that was a way around, and I know you weren't here at the time, so
Yeah,
I don't mean
okay.
pejoratively, it was just that there was precedent to say, well, if schools were overcrowded, well, you can have age-restricted housing, right? So I think that's what it was, but I think that the change between, you still could have an age-restricted community, but
Mm-hmm.
it changing from a standard subdivision to a condominium association subdivision allowed it to go from, and I'm making up numbers here, I don't remember what the lot, how many lots you guys have up there.
It'll be 52 a build-out, yeah.
Okay, and
Yeah.
I think that it increased from X to X plus Y based on the type of development they were doing.
Right, yeah.
So I think that's why it's the developer, again, it could be neither here nor there, but, you know,
I don't
for you
think
at
it
this
is.
point. Yeah,
Okay, I mean, I hear see what you're going, but that's, yeah, okay. Yes.
So,
In your discussions, if you would refer to some of the information in here, I appreciate it, and,
okay.
go ahead.
So the question I have is if in the paperwork, the writing in their deed, that was the agreement with the builder or the developer? If that's the case,
Yes, the owner to the developer, whoever, yes, buyer to seller. Yes, correct.
so if it
I
was
mean,
in there.
that's in the covenants of that particular condominium association.
Right, so if it was in
No.
there and it wasn't necessarily, they weren't necessarily advised correctly or that was the case, then, okay, I was just curious, okay.
I know our
You don't know that
documents,
for
I
sure.
know our documents, I know our bylaws, I'm on the board of directors
Okay.
there and all, and it's not in the covenants that, of the documents, I know that. that there's no service agreement with the town.
No, that's right. I believe Councilperson Smith's talking about responsibility.
Correct, I was
of
just
what
asking.
you're responsible for.
Right.
Okay,
Right.
yeah.
Yeah, you're responsible for garbage collection, I guess, water, sewer, paving.
I was curious if we
road,
knew
street.
that, or if
Yeah,
he knew that,
That's
or.
okay, and full town taxes, yeah, okay. Thank you.
I think that was included in the deed, though, you know, in your deed. I think should have been attached. It's a legal document, you know.
Okay, I was just curious.
Right,
Okay.
correct.
I think these guys are trying to get your attention. Ray.
Oh.
No,
Not
there's,
yours. I think they were trying to get.
Thank you, guys.
Bye,
Yeah, thank
thanks, see ya. Bye-bye.
thank you.
Bye-bye.
And that's what I was,
I did email staff about a year ago to ask for a reference, a legal reference for what the foundation was for this position, and I never got a response. So I just wanted to.
You emailed the staff, you said? I'm sorry.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
couldn't hear
and
you.
asked for what the foundation was for the town position about no service agreement, you know, with that, and I didn't get a response.
You didn't get her?
So, you know, it's just going, there's been some verbal, you know, discussions, but. that's
Okay.
it.
Anybody else that didn't sign in?
Yes.
Oh, Mr. Gary?
Good evening, Council Mayor. I'm Guy Gary, Treasurer of Mama. I just want to take a second to thank the town, the police, Chief Hess, Steve Miller, for all their efforts in aiding us with the Halloween costume contest parade. The police did an excellent job in getting all the kids and adults of all ages across the street down and protecting them at all the intersections. Chief Hess donated, with the police department, a good collection of cupcakes. We had 17 cakes that business owners donated, 4 pizzas, and we cake walked and pizza walked all those off. And I just wanted to thank you all for everything you did. I know I was riding by, shuttling audio equipment from up here and I saw everybody out in front of the town. I couldn't get a good look at who was there because it was dark, but I did hear you say, "Here they come!" So that was kind of exciting. And those kids moved fast because I barely got
They
set
did.
up. But I just wanted to thank you guys again very much for all the help that you did with that.
Thank you also.
Thank you.
I know you must have had more people there this year.
There was
Because
a
it-
lot of kids.
every year it's growing. It's becoming more popular.
So this year I got about 20 to 30 panicky text and calls that we had somehow found a way to change the date for trick or treating. And then
Yeah.
and they weren't aware of it. And I was like, I think it's a parade. You can go join the parade or just wait till Friday. Yeah. All right, anybody else? All right, we'll go to committee reports. Councilman Smith?
I have a meeting tomorrow night with the Cable Commission, so hopefully at the next meeting I'll have some updates on the franchise and the other information.
Councilman Warren?
Okay. I have a couple things to share. First, wanted to pass along to the community that Breakfast with Santa will be offered at the Activities Building on December 5th from 8 to 12. I believe tickets are $5. I'm not positive on that, but information will be on the fire department website, and there'll be activities and craft tables and things for the kids, and they're just saying come out, enjoy, and have a great time. As part of Maryland or Municipal Government Works Month, and in connection with Banner City requirements, I've been tasked with working on our November event. And there's a couple different things and different options we can do. I'm currently waiting on confirmation from a teacher at Manchester Valley High School to go into a government class and speak about local government and that kind of thing. I know it's been done in the past, but we want to try and get in the month of November and touch base with them to support municipal government. And also another thing that we're going to do is on Black Friday, after the tree lighting and after they light across the street and introduce the little free library, we're going to have kind of a town open house here till about 7 o'clock, depending on how long it takes across the street for the dedication, as another thing to open up so that the community can come in and just kind of informally meet and greet kind of thing. If they want to see some like blueprints or something or different things, just kind of touch base with us and ask their questions. I've also been asked to share, Andrew Epley apologizes for not making it tonight. He has firefighter, one of his classes, I'm not sure, I think it's firefighter 1. He asked me to share the following information, and he promised to put the right phone number for me. So the drama presentation is the musical Starmites this weekend and next weekend, Friday and Saturday at 7 o'clock. The tickets are $8 for students and seniors in advance and $10 for adults. And at the door, $12 for adults and $10 for students and seniors. This Friday, they're having a veterans dinner and theater. The doors are going to open at 5 with dinner starting at 5:30. The play is going to begin at 7. They ask that you RSVP by today to KECASHE@carolk12.org. And if you call, it's free admission for veterans and their families. December 15th is the band and orchestra concert at Manchester Valley, time to be determined. And the 21st is the chorus concert at the high school, again, time to be determined. Like Mayor Warner said earlier, Friday, number 1 seed Manval plays number 4 seed North Carroll at the first round of the playoffs. It is at Manchester Valley, and a word of advice, arrive early because it's going to be hectic and the parking lot will be full. Tonight, as long as it wasn't rained out, the Manchester Valley girls soccer plays McDonough in the 1A North Regional Finals. And on tomorrow, the 11th, field hockey plays the Class 1A state semifinal against Pocomoke at Paint Branch High School at 5. And tomorrow also, the girls volleyball will be in the state tournament at Smithsburg High School at 6:30.
All right, very good. Councilman Pacelli?
The next MAMA meeting is 11/19 at Spargo's. One final mention, on November 27th will be the Black Friday and Christmas open house from 6 to 9 p.m. Also, this Friday, the 13th at 10 a.m., right here at the Town Hall, will be the Sustainability Task Force meeting. All are invited.
Councilman Howe?
We had a meeting last night at Charlotte's Quest. On their list of things to come, on the first day, it's going to be a first-day hike, January the 1st at 10 a.m. Hike for everyone is invited at Charlotte's Quest. Too cold for me.
New Year's Day.
New Year's Day, they're having a hike at 10 a.m. Get the days of the year started off right. They're also looking for volunteers if anybody's interested, or members. It's very minimal, $15 for a family, $25 for an organization. So if you'd like to volunteer or join, all are welcome. And I would also like to say how impressed I was with Dave Brown and everyone else that helped with the playground. And they also did some resurfacing on the bathroom floors at Christmas Tree Park. An excellent job. So I'd like to pass that on, and that's it.
Councilman Wilder?
Okay, Planning and Zoning Commission, we met for a regular October business meeting. Number of items were discussed. One worth noting is Marty Hackett of CLSI attended to answer questions regarding the Harrell Estates concept plan. You may recall Harrell Estates is a small development off of Hilltop, off of Park Avenue. We expressed a number of concerns. The most important was probably, and this was along with the wastewater department, were concerns with the sewer collection system. Rather than a central pumping system like most developments, they're recommending that there be individual pumping stations or pumping opportunities from each individual home. Steve could probably describe that better than I could ever hope to. But that comes with concerns itself because individual homeowners are now responsible for their individual, and I'll call mini pumping stations. So that's not desirable. We did recommend they go forward with a conventional system. Marty, or Mr. Hackett, did believe that we could do that, and we'll take those recommendations back to the developer. So based on the recommendations, and there were others, we did approve the concept plan and expect they'll bring back their preliminary plan in January. I'll keep everybody posted.
Anything come up with him? I know he was also working on Old Town. Any more discussion on that?
Not at this particular meeting.
No.
Okay. All right, anything else
That's it.
for this board? All right, entertain a motion to adjourn.
Make a motion to adjourn.
All right, remember Black Friday, 27th at 6 p.m. I guess we start right out here. All right, see everybody then.
I'll second it.
Second, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Good night.